Hi there. Today is Sunday, January 12th, 2025, and we are here for our daily reading of the Bible. We are going to be using our Day by Day Kids Bible, written by Karen Henley, and I have my calendar ready to go with my sticker that I have already put on to show my attendance for today or my daily commitment. And I'm so glad that you're joining me here today. And I'm going to be trying to be very quick this morning because I have to get to work today. And I'm doing this very early so I can get this posted for everybody today. So let's start. We're going to be talking about how Jacob goes home. Remember that when Jacob had his dream, God told him that he would be coming back to that land that he was sleeping on. So this comes to us out of Genesis 30 and 31 today. Jacob went to Laban. He said, I've done a lot of work for you, and I want to take my wives and children, and I want to go home. Please stay here, said Laban. I know that God has been good to you. Just tell me what you want me to pay you. I have worked very hard for you, said Jacob. Think about when I began working for you. You had only a few animals. Now you have a lot. God has been good to you because I worked for you. But I should do something for my own family now. What do you want? Said Laban. Jacob said, Just do one thing. Give me all the dark or spotted sheep and goats. They will be my pay. Then I will go on working for you. All right, said Laban. But that day he took all of the dark or spotted sheep and goats, and he gave them to his sons. And they traveled to far away from Jacob for 3 days. Jacob still took care of the sheep, and they began to have babies that were dark or spotted. So Jacob gathered those sheep for himself, and he did not let them get mixed in with Laban's sheep. The dark and spotted sheep were very strong. So Jacob got the strong sheep, and Laban got the weak sheep. Jacob got lots of sheep. He also got camels and donkeys and servants. Now Laban's son said, Jacob took sheep from our father. He has made himself rich that way. And Jacob heard what they said. He also saw that Laban wasn't as friendly as he once had been. Then God told Jacob, Go home. Go where you lived before. I'll be with you. Jacob called for Rachel and Leah. They went out to the field to meet him. Jacob said, Your father isn't as friendly to me now. You know how hard I worked for him, but he tricked me. He has changed my pay many times, but God has been good to me. God has taken care of me, and now God wants me to move back to my own land. Rachel and Leah said, Do whatever God tells you. So Jacob got some camels. His wives and children rode on them. Jacob sent his cows ahead with the other things he owned. Then Jacob started the trip back to Canaan. Now Laban had gone to cut wool from his sheep, and while he was gone, Rachel stole the handmade gods. They were idols that Laban kept in his house. And Jacob did not tell Laban that he was leaving. Jacob just left. He crossed the river and set out toward hill country. 3 days went by. Then someone told Laban that Jacob had gone. So Laban got the men of his family together, and they chased after Jacob. They found Jacob camped in the hill country, and Laban set up his tents there too. But that night, Laban had a dream. God spoke to Laban in that dream. Be careful about what you say to Jacob. The next day, Laban spoke to Jacob. Why did you run away in secret? He said. Why did you fool me? Why didn't you tell me you were going? I could have sent you away with joy. We could have had music and harps and singing. You didn't even give me a chance to say goodbye. I didn't get to kiss my daughters and grandchildren. You were very foolish, said Laban. I could have hurt you. But last night, God spoke to me. He told me not to say anything good or bad. But why did you steal my idols? I was scared, said Jacob. That's why I left without telling you. And I thought you would make my wives stay here. But we did not take your idols. You can kill anybody who finds that you find who took your idols. And if you find anything that's yours, take it. And Jacob didn't know that Rachel had stolen the idols. And Laban looked for his idols in Jacob's tent. He looked in Leah's tent. And he looked in her servant's tent. And then he went and looked into Rachel's tent. And he looked into Rachel's servant's tent. Now Rachel had hidden the idols in her camel's saddleback, in her camel's saddle. And the saddle was on the ground. And she was sitting on it when her father came in. Don't be mad at me, said Rachel, but I can't stand up right now. I'm not feeling very well. So Laban left Rachel's tent without finding the idols. Then Jacob was mad. What did I do wrong? You looked everywhere and you didn't find anything that is yours. I worked for you for 20 years. I took good care of your sheep and goats. I got hot in the day and cold in the night, and there were many times when I couldn't sleep. And you changed my pay 10 times. But God took care of me, and if He hadn't, I'd be leaving without anything of my own. But these are my daughters and my grandchildren, said Laban. Let's make peace. So Jacob set up a stone post, and Laban helped make a pile of stones too. These stones are the sign of our promise, said Laban. God will see if we keep our promise, so we will not hurt each other. Jacob gave an animal as a gift to God. Then he asked Laban and his men to come to dinner. They ate next to the pile of stones, and after they ate, they spent the night. In the morning, Laban kissed his daughters. He kissed his grandchildren. Then he and his men left and went back home. And that's our end of our reading for today for January 12th. So we see that Jacob was told by God to go back to his own country, in his own home. And he noticed also that Jacob noticed that Laban was not being quite as friendly. So God, as always, picked the right time for things to happen. And so Jacob obeyed. Now, prior to him leaving, he was blessed by God. And he accepted as his pay the spotted or dark colored animals that were born. And despite the fact that they were born, Laban tried to take those, and he kept changing Jacob's pay to go back and forth, whether they were the spotted animals that were his pay or the non-spotted animals or dark animals that were his pay, based upon which ones were currently being born. So Laban was trying to cheat Jacob. And despite that fact, who was actually in charge? God was. And whichever way Laban had to have it, he blessed Jacob. So that's our lesson for today, is that even when people in the world are trying to hurt us or to take from us what is rightfully ours. It is up to God to take care of us, and He does. And so we want to rely on Him to take care of us. And even Jacob noticed it. No matter what, God blessed me. And if He hadn't, I would have had nothing at all of my own. But God took care of me. And so I want to encourage you to give God the glory for taking care of you today. I know I'm giving Him the glory for taking care of me. He has certainly blessed me. And for instance, most recently, we did not end up having any power outage. And I was very thankful for that. And of course, He blesses me every day and takes care of me every day. And I'm very thankful to that. And I'd like to encourage you to look for the ways that God takes care of you every single day in your life. And that is our lesson today that we can learn from watching Jacob and seeing how he obeyed God. And I hope you have a great Sunday, and I will see you again tomorrow for January 13th.